What's going on, everyone? So we got some news about the Sacramento Kings. So they are going to be involved in every star player. Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, maybe Zach Lavine. They've done a good job of keeping their assets. They have tradable contracts, so they're going to be a player for stars coming up for sure. I think eventually they could add a third piece. Now, yesterday, I made a video early in the morning about Zach Lavine and how I don't think he makes sense for Sacramento. And I said that if I was Sacramento, I would target and look at Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. And it's hilarious that, fast forward a couple hours, we get a report that says Sacramento are looking for OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. Again, I don't want to go too much into the Zach Lavine thing because I did a whole video about it. Go check it out here on the channel. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel. But the reason I don't like the idea of Zach Lavine is I think he is rather redundant alongside De'Aaron Fox. I think they both are very similar players in the sense of they're both very explosive. They both, like to use their athleticism, get into the basket, add rim pressure. They both be three-level scorers. Zach Lavine, when he is on, he is up there with the best of them. But he can be very inconsistent at times. And I just think you have a guy in De'Aaron Fox who is one of the best, if not the best, fourth quarter players in the league. I mean, he has been, right? And on top of that, he's been one of, if not the most clutch players in the league. I mean, last year he was, and this year he's making an argument for it again. So when you get down late into the fourth quarter and towards the end of the games, Zach Lavine, do you really want him taking shots and kind of clashing with De'Aaron Fox when you have a guy that's already down to do that? Now, I do understand the points of hey, Zach Lavine could take pressure off of De'Aaron Fox and not have to rely on him so heavily, which absolutely I do agree. I just don't think that you're going to be able to have Zach Lavine fit the way you need him to fit, especially with Sacramento's offense, right? They run a very Golden State-esque type of offense. They try to get a lot of ball movement, right? And, I mean, makes sense. Mike Brown comes from the Golden State tree, and I just think Zach Lavine coming to Sacramento, you're going to see a lot of you go, I go isolation. Because that's kind of Zach's game, right? You get him on an island with another player and he's going to go get a bucket, which is great. And you do need that at times, but that's why you have De'Aaron Fox. I don't necessarily think that they need some superstar. And also Zach Lavine, I don't think he makes them that much better, right? I think Zach Lavine on a team like Miami, team like the Lakers, who really need what Zach Lavine does, I think makes a lot of sense, right? The problem is his salary, but he's not a top 10, he's not a top 15, he's not a top 20 guy. I don't even think he's a top 25 guy. I think you can at least make a real argument that he's not. Maybe he's a top 30 guy. I just don't think Sacramento needs to go and make a push for a guy like Zach Lavine. I think if you're going to, or you're looking to add that third guy or add another star, right? Maybe even that second guy with Sabonis becoming the third guy, because Sabonis, he hasn't looked good in the playoffs, right? Completely disappears, right? I just think you're better off going for that higher impact guy, right? Save your assets, save your tradable pieces, save everything, and wait for, what if a Joel Embiid becomes available? What if Philly can't get another star to pair alongside, and at the end of the season, you have the Sixers end up losing in the first or second round again, and Joel Embiid's like, all right, get me out of here, right? Well, then now, Sacramento, you just went and blew all of your assets and all your tradable salaries to go get Zach Lavine, and you could have gotten a guy like Embiid. If Zach Lavine was a bigger impact player for Sacramento, and he was a guy that really fixed a lot of what Sacramento needs, then sure, I would say, hey, one in the hand is worth two in the bush. But I don't think that's the case with Zach Lavine. The reason I mentioned an OG Anunoby or a Pascal Siakam is, again, they're not these superstar players. They're not these guys that are entire game changers. But I do think that they would have more of an impact and provide more of a need for Sacramento than Zach Lavine would, right? Sacramento, they're just trying to outscore you. They're not very good defensively. They have a very high-powered offense, right? But getting a guy like OG Anunoby and a Pascal Siakam, they would help you, one, upgrade in like the Harrison Barnes situation, or if you want to keep that, right, you can move either of them to the 4 and give you that just defense out on the perimeter, a guy that can defend the best player on the other team, right? Like, they would be very impactful. And I do think that both of these guys would make a lot of sense and would probably cost just as much as Zach Lavine would, at least asset-wise. Salary-wise, not much, right? I just think Zach Lavine, he's making $40+ million a year, and it only keeps going up as the seasons progress, where you could go get a Pascal Siakam and you could go get an OG Anunoby, and they would be more versatile for you, not take away from what De'Aaron Fox does best, not take away from what Sabonis does best, but also provide when one of those two are lacking, and would be comfortable being in that other role, that, like, 2B, maybe even 3 on some nights role. Or if you get one of these guys, right, like, you could have Pascal Siakam just be another playmaker also, right? You could run your offense through Sabonis as like a baby Jokic, and even do similar things with Pascal Siakam, right? So now when De'Aaron Fox is out of the games, you have guys, multiple ways to run your offense and initiate your offense. You got guys that can fit better in your offensive schemes, guys that are willing to share the ball more, guys that aren't just, vacuum scorers. Like, especially, I really like the idea of Pascal Siakam. I think Pascal Siakam would just be a perfect fit. You could play him at the 3, play him at the 4, right? I think Pascal Siakam also just provides a lot of what Sacramento desperately needs, right? Again, defensively, playmaking-wise, the ability to score efficiently. He's still young enough to be a real piece and a real factor for the foreseeable future. I think he's a move that if you can make happen, you absolutely should make happen, right? I mean, this is a guy who, the last 3-4 years has given you, 22 to 24 points per game on basically 50% shooting, and 45 to 50% shooting, and a guy that could give you, he's not great shooting the 3 ball, but he could shoot, roughly around league average. He doesn't take a ton of threes, but you don't necessarily need that. You have guys like Herter, and even Fox has improved much, and you have other guys that can hit the 3 ball, right? Pascal Siakam just gives you another guy that can just go get a bucket for you, that can play within the offense, right? Be a guy that can make an impact in multiple ways. He's a guy that you can run your offense through at times, go give you 5 to 6 assists. I mean, even this year, he's giving you basically a hair under 20 points. He's giving you 7 rebounds and 5 assists, right? He's also giving you basically a steal and a block. So you get defense, you get size, which is important. You get versatility. You get another 20-point-a-game scorer. You get a guy that can help with the rebounding, right? You get a guy that can help with the playmaking. Pascal Siakam is one of the well-rounded type players that can really, I think, make them better, right? 6'8", 7'3" wingspan, I think that's huge. Now you get some more size. You get some more versatility out there on the perimeter in the wing position. You can even run small ball lineups where he's maybe the 5, right, in some sets. It gives you just multiple avenues for this team. And I just think Pascal Siakam would fit so much better in with Sacramento's offense while giving you other things that Zach Lavine doesn't, right? He gives you that size. He gives you that defense. He gives you that playmaking, right? And you allow De'Aaron Fox to still be De'Aaron Fox rather than having that push-pull struggle where it's like, well, Zach Lavine, he wants to get his shots in the fourth quarter, and Zach Lavine, he wants to go drop his 30 a night, right? Like, and, but you have De'Aaron Fox, who he's been one of the best in the league at that. And it's just, like, even right now, right? Like, let's do this in real time while we're recording a video. So, like, you look at Pascal Siakam, he's averaging, again, just under 20 points per game on 15.8 shot attempts, and he's shooting 50% from the field. So he's giving you, let's say, 16 field goal attempts per game, and he's shooting 50% from the field. Now, let's take a look at a guy like Zach Lavine, right, for Chicago. Now, obviously, Pascal Siakam also has the playmaking duties and stuff like that, but still, I think that this is at least gives you a little bit of a picture. So Zach Lavine is averaging 22 points on 17 field goal attempts per game. So he's averaging roughly the same, because again, he's averaging 17 attempts to Pascal's 16, and Zach Lavine shooting 42.7%, right? And he's shooting 34% from three, which is basically what Pascal Siakam is shooting for his career. Now, Zach Lavine is the better three-point shooter, and he might just be in a little bit of a slump right now to start the season, but also Zach Lavine, as far as playmaking goes and assists, like he can go and get an assist, but you can't really run your offense through him at times like you can with Pascal Siakam. Like if Sabonis misses a couple games, you can go to Pascal Siakam and have him kind of run through everything. So you're getting basically the same production scoring-wise, let's say, between Lavine and Pascal Siakam. You're not getting the three-point shooting that you'd get from Zach Lavine, but you're getting the same kind of offensive output, the same similar efficiency, but you're getting better rebounding, better playmaking, and much better defense, which I think is key and important, right? So I personally think that that's the approach that the Sacramento Kings should be looking at. Go get a guy like a Pascal Siakam, go get a guy like an OG Anunoby, and, kind of round it out. Or, again, just remain patient. Sacramento's a good, fun, young, exciting team, right? They're in my opinion, they're not a championship-level team, at least currently. I just don't think they play the defense. I think they have the offense. I just don't think they play the defense to do so. And I think they kind of need to go through their lumps, right? Like, take an older OKC team, right? They missed the playoffs, then they're a first-round exit, then a second-round exit, then they're eliminated in the conference finals, then they're in the NBA finals, losing the NBA finals, and then, unfortunately, OKC ends up selling off James Harden. Otherwise, that team might have won a championship. I think Sacramento, if they just kind of stay on track, they could, I'm not saying that they'll be OKC, but they could kind of get the lumps, allow Sabonis to have his hiccups in the playoffs, learn from his mistakes, continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to be better, and then find the right pieces that'll actually make you improve, not only now, but for the long term, or just wait for that big impact guy. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down